The inner critic is not you. It is a learned pattern of thought. And learned thoughts can be unlearned. Welcome back to the Bloom Again podcast. I'm your host, Yannick, and this week we'll be speaking on the topic, making peace with your inner critic. I want to shout out to all my listeners on Spotify and Apple's podcast and to my viewers on YouTube. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to meet me on the Bloom Again podcast. Have you ever sat in your quiet moment and you thought about fixing yourself? Today, we're talking about something that most of us carry. It is that often quiet and daily inner critic. Do you ever feel like you have this constant critic living inside your head, whispering doubts and holding you back from what you really want to do? This inner critic can be so powerful. But what if I told you it doesn't have to control you? In this episode, we're going to uncover the roots of your inner critic and give you practical tools to finally quiet it down and reclaim your confidence. So if that voice sounds familiar, I want to reassure you that you're not weak, you're not broken, you're only human. And definitely you're not alone. Imagine a world where your inner voice isn't constantly tearing you down, but instead it calmly observes and even encourages you. Is that even possible? Yes, it is. For too long, we've battled our self-doubt as our enemy. But today, we're flipping the script. We are transforming our inner critic into something more positive. We are reframing the message. The goal isn't to erase the voice totally. No. But instead, we want to change the relationship that we have with this inner critic. So let's talk about it. The inner critic isn't just occasional negative thought. It is persuasive internal monologue. So a narrator that comments on things like your worth, your performance, your appearance, and your choices. And for many women, it sounds something like, who do you think you are? You should be further along than this. You know, if you take rest today, you are lazy. Don't you see that everyone else is doing better than you? And it often shows up as imposter syndrome. Feeling like a fraud, even when you're capable. And I've been there. I remember in university, I wanted to be the valedictorian for our graduating class. I participated in club events. I was a part of the university community. I had very good grades. I had the ability to become a valedictorian. But my inner critic got the better of me. And I told myself someone else could do it better. And as I sat down in graduation, there was something inside of me that was very disappointed in myself. I was so disappointed because I looked on the stage and the young lady who was the valedictorian did super. She did well. But that could have been me if I had only taken the chance and not listened to the negative things that my inner critic was telling me. Your inner critic often shows up as perfectionism. Nothing ever feels good enough. So you have something to do, and it might just change your life. But instead of doing it, you keep putting it off, saying, until I get it perfect, then I won't do it at all. You know what the reality of life is? Nothing at all is perfect. Your inner critic shows up as comparison traps. You measure your life against someone else's highlight reel. And this, in today's society, that is so easy for us because we are exposed to all the different social media platforms. Our inner critic shows up as procrastination. Not because you're a lazy person, but because the fear inside of you is so loud that you don't have the energy to do what you want to do. And so you procrastinate. And research backs up all of this. If you look into personality and individual differences, you will see that it shows chronic self-criticism is strongly linked to things like anxiety and depression and burnout and lower self-esteem, especially in higher achieving women. Yes, on the outside, they look like they have it all. But on the inside, they're so critical of themselves that they cannot see their success. Everyone else on the outside can say, oh, I admire Mary. Oh, but Patricia is doing well. But for some reason, Mary and Patricia cannot see their own success because of that negative inner critic. But here's something that is very important. This voice initially did not appear to hurt you. Originally, this voice was meant to protect you. From an evolutionary standpoint, the brain evolved to keep us safe. Not happy, but safe. And so early humans survived by anticipating danger, avoiding rejection, and staying within the safety of the group. And psychologists call this negativity bias. So our brains naturally focus more on threats than on rewards. So your inner voice says, don't mess this up. Stay small. Just be careful. And at what time these would have been words that help you to survive. But the reality of it is, surviving is not helping you to be fulfilled. And it has no part to play in your life as it is now. For most of us, our inner critic has roots. It came from somewhere. It is shaped by our childhood experiences. So we had critical caregivers or caregivers who had very high expectations, or some of us were emotionally neglected. And so these childhood experiences created that inner critic. It is shaped by societal conditioning. So, especially for women, we have messages about our worth, about our productivity, about being perfect. Recently, I was having a conversation with a friend, and we were discussing the fact that as young girls, we were taught that we had to learn how to do household chores. And if you did not know how to do this, then you would not get a husband. Or if you got a husband, the husband would leave you for someone else. Or inner critic is shaped by our past failures or our traumas. So there were moments of shame that took hold of us, and we decided that we would never do that thing ever again. Because every time we step out to do it, our brain remembers the emotion, the shame, and somehow it convinced us that it's not a good idea. Our inner critic is shaped by praise tied to performance. So you are praised for your high grades. You are praised for doing well in a particular activity, but you are not praised for being a kind person or a honest person. So you're not praised for your character. And right now in our modern era, in 2026, this voice is louder than ever. Social media has amplified comparison in ways that our brains are not able to handle. According to research done by the American Psychological Association, frequent social comparison is linked to increased self-doubt, body dissatisfaction, and feelings of inadequacy, particularly among women. And here's a key truth. The inner critic is not you. It is a learned pattern of thought. And learned thoughts can be unlearned. Now, to change your relationship with your inner critic, you first need to recognize it. In order to recognize it, you have to be able to identify what it shows up as. Does it shows up as very specific phrases? Does your inner critic shows up as a tightness in your chest? How about a pit in your stomach? Or a sudden emotional drop? And what are the triggers? Common triggers could be trying something new, or being seen or heard. Growing up as a child, there is a familiar saying in our culture, in my culture, that says children are to be seen and not heard. And if you are someone who grew up around adults that constantly told you that, it might develop in you lack of confidence. And so when you're in your workplace and someone congratulates you on doing something, that inner critic comes in and say, are you sure you're the person she's speaking to or he's speaking to? And you know that you are good at something, but you don't go for that promotion. Because even though they see you day to day and see your work, you lack the confidence to be heard. Another trigger is making a mistake. Oftentimes, the emotion that is attached to making a mistake, we don't want to relive it. And so we would avoid doing that task ever again so that we do not make the same mistake. Another trigger is comparing yourself to others. Here is a way for you to help to identify what shaped your inner critic and what your triggers are. Questions such as, when does my inner critic speak the loudest? What does it say? What am I usually feeling right before it appears? And this isn't about judging your voice, rather it's about mapping it. If you're able to identify the root of something, if you are able to identify the emotions that are attached to something, then you are able to control it. You're able to shape it. So it's important to know the difference between constructive self-reflection and destructive self-criticism. So constructive self-reflection sounds like, what can I learn from this? On the other hand, destructive self-criticism sounds like, this proves I'm not enough. One builds growth, the other builds shame. This is where I want the shift to begin. I don't want you to fight the voice, but I want you to change how you respond to it. There is a term called cognitive diffusion, and it's a technique from the ACT, Acceptance and Commitment Therapy. So it says, instead of saying I'm failing, you say I'm having the thought that I am failing. This small difference gives you so much power. And I want you to practice compassionate self-talk. Self-compassion leads to greater emotional resilience and motivation and mental health. So try asking, what would I say to a friend in this moment? Now, it is true for a lot of us that if our friend comes up with an idea, we are the first to encourage, the first to say, to support, the first to say, of course, you can do it. I believe in you. But when it comes on to ourselves, no, someone else can do it better than I can. And we find all the excuses in the book. So I want you to practice thinking that you are the friend that need the support. You are the friend that need the advice. You are the friend that need that belief, that strong belief. And I want you to give it to yourself. Say to yourself, whatever good, whatever support that you would have given your friend, give it to yourself. I want you to also have an observer mindset. So imagine watching your thoughts like clouds just passing by. You're not chasing them. You're not arguing with them. You're just observing. Thoughts are experiences. Just let it flow through. Now, I want you to practice self-compassion. And self-compassion has three core elements. The first one is mindfulness. I want you to notice without judgment. Whenever that thought comes up in your mind, take note of it. Don't start judging yourself more harshly for having the thought. Just observe it. Another component is self-kindness. So respond gently to that thought. And another component is shared humanity. You are not alone in all of this. You're not the only woman struggling. You're not behind. You're not failing. You are becoming. There is this shift. This shift that I want you to practice is not a personality change. And there are some long-term strategies that I want you to include. Firstly, setting boundaries with your inner critic. Letting your inner critic know that you can speak, but you don't run the show. I want you to celebrate small victories. Neuroscience shows that when we celebrate small victories, it rewires our brain toward confidence. Think about a baby who is learning to walk for the first time. If that baby stands up and start walking, and the adults around the baby go, yay, and encourages the baby, then that baby will try more and more to walk. But if the adults around the baby ignores the attempt or criticize the attempt, then that baby will take longer to walk. So acknowledging little victories rewire our brains and help us to continue or to start again. Building a stronger self-narrative. I don't want you to just focus on who you are when you succeed, but I want you to focus on who you are and be kind to who you are when you stumble, when you fail, when you have to try again. And most importantly, patience. Your inner critic did not develop overnight. So it won't disappear overnight. It will not change overnight. But it can soften and it can change. If your inner critic has been speaking to you loudly lately, I want you to understand that that doesn't mean that you are weak. It often means that you are growing. So instead of asking, how do I silence this voice? Try asking, what is this voice trying to protect me from? And what do I actually need right now in this moment? You don't need to become someone new. You just need to come back to yourself. Thank you for spending the day with me. If this episode resonated, share it with a woman who might need it, or save it for the day when your inner critic speaks a little louder. Until next time, keep blooming again. Thank you.